All right, so sounds like everyone can hear me. So we'll just jump in today to this lunch and learn, and let's jump into some electrical schematics. So this is not going to be a teaching tutorial by any means, but just some helpful hints just as you go over your electrical projects. Hopefully this can help you out in some way. Okay, so my name is Breland Blake. I'm an application engineer here at Design Point, and one of my specialties is electrical schematics. All right, so let's jump in here today. All right, so the agenda we're going to be going over today as follows. So we're going to be creating some project macros. We'll run over that and discuss what a project macro is and where we can create those different project macros. Also go over editing a symbol component and show you some other ways how we can copy and edit some symbol components so you can start populating your own library. Snapshots in the snapshot manager. This is a great way to take a picture of your project. This is not just a picture, it's not a screenshot by any means, even though it sounds like that, but we'll jump into that as we get into that section. We'll go over some manufactured parts and what they are, importing and exporting some electrical data as well. Okay. So what are electrical schematics? Electrical schematics, it's a powerful tool used by SOLIDWORKS. It lets you automate the creation of your electrical project in a 2D format. You can do this with electrical schematic, a line diagram, or a mixed scheme. So the difference between those are, as some of you may or may not know, in the middle of our screen at the bottom is it's a schematic, okay, which is going to be represented, usually used with by electrical engineers, and those are going to be more detailed information, something that electrical engineers will know the particular symbols and how they relate in their project. We also have something called a line diagram, which is shown off to the left-hand side. And as you can see, with the difference between the two of those is instead of just showing the actual electrical symbol, we're showing the picture of an electrical component. That's more so it's used in a planning phase or even with maybe estimators or sales, your sales team. Okay, so may not know what all of your electrical symbols are. So it's more for a pictorial reference. And then to the far right, we have a project that we use we generated from our 2D environment. After we're completely done with our 2D project, we open it up and convert it into a 3D assembly, okay? But a lot of your electrical schematics, it's used to plan out your project, to describe your project with electrical symbols, and also to completely just do a whole electrical panel layout, whether it's a panel, a floor, or just a harness. Okay, so this is used to create and lower the maintenance of your changes, and it's supposed to give the user a lot more time, to make changes and focus their time on other places in the project. All right, one of our first topics we're going to go over today is creating a project macro. And the way we do this is we'll want to select our sheet. We could right click and we can create a project macro. A project macro is going to be a schematic that we can actually copy and reuse over to another project and reuse over and over again if we wish to. In a lot of the project lines with our customers, they may have a particular schematic project that they're using and they want to use one of their sheets over and over again. Maybe it's something that they reuse over and over in their electrical design. And instead of just showing just a section of that, they want to show the actual sheet. And that's a project macro because that's in the project, okay? And then we can also manage our macros from our macro manager. You want to look for your macro manager symbol. And let's dive in here and look at more of what I was just explaining here. So we have a electrical schematic here shown in the background with a black background. So what we want to do in our design tree, let's say we want to use that the number 3 line diagram in a previous project. Instead of doing the untimely process of redrawing that over or just copying it over and not having any functionality to change anything, we can create something called a project macro. So once we create that project macro, we can insert that into a new project, and we could also edit that project macro without editing the original. Okay, so that allows us to reuse our data, save our time, and then also to populate new projects, you know, just with just a few clicks. And the way we do that is we want to select our sheet on the left-hand side in our design window. We right-click and we go to create project macro. Okay, once this is done, our project macro is going to pop up, allow you to change your name. You could change your class or your library, where you'd like that to be stored and organized, whether your company standards specify your own library or another one. Okay, once we're in our project macro manager, you'll see that's highlighted on the far right-hand side, our macro name. And now we can click on that and we could drop it into our new present project. Macros are super helpful. They allow you to place individual components, allow you to associate some components, or allow you to associate a whole sheet. And once you paste that into your new project, it allows you, the macro manager, when it's all finished, it allows you to attach other configurations or electrical circuits to that particular project, or you don't have to do that at all. But it's a very powerful tool. It's going to take attributes as well and bring over all our attributes, and our attributes are our electrical data. It's going to be represented next to the symbol. So it's going to carry over all of the, not only the symbols, but also the information that's attached to those symbols. Okay, that's our project macros. And our symbol components. Let's go over how we edit or copy a symbol component. We have a ton of symbols in our library manager. We can go into our library manager and pick and drop those in our schematics as we go along. But let's say we drop in an electrical symbol, but it doesn't have any manufactured part information with it. We can copy and paste that and attach that manufactured part information, drop it into one of our libraries, and that's one of the best ways to go about and start populating your library as you move forward. So SOLIDWORKS has a great library that it gives you some standard parts, and they're just the symbols, but then you have to attach the manufactured part information after that. If there's a particular project that you're working on that you already created, that you went through the process of creating that symbol and attaching the manufactured part information to it, you could then right-click and add that to your library and start populating your library. So the next time you go to use that component, it already has the manufactured part information attached to it, and any of those changes that you may have made to that symbol. So as you know, what you want to do is you will click on any of the symbols that you dropped in to your project. Let's say we want to make a change to this. So you want to click on it to highlight it, right-click, and when your right-click menu pops up, you want to look for your symbol, and then you want to open that symbol. Once that symbol is open, it's just shown to the far right of the screen. It's very hard to kind of relate those two together, because we have the Schneider Electric information, which is our manufactured part, is represented on the left-hand side. But on the right-hand side, when we open up that symbol, this is just a stripped down version of just that symbol. We're not looking at the manufactured part information. So you're going to see the attributes that are listed as particular as the location tag, function tag, and then also the circuit connections or connection point. So this is how we would make any kind of change to that. If we want to make a physical change, draw something in, make a custom component, this is how we would do that. Now you could do this from just a standard part and make that change and make a custom part on the fly in the middle of your project, and then just save it as another name. That's one way that you can create a symbol. Or the other way you can create a symbol is this. So if we go in and let's say we want to edit one of our symbols, or we want to create a new symbol, we can go into our library manager underneath the symbol manager, and then we want to highlight one. For example, this is the single pole magneto circuit breaker that we're looking at right now. If we want to copy that, there's a couple different ways. We could go through the last step and copy it the same way that we just previously did in the previous step, or we can do it right in our manager on the fly as well this way. So let's say we're not populating our project yet, but we want to go in and see what we have in our library and start planning out some of our schematics. and we realize, hey, I want to make a change to this particular symbol because our company standards are a little bit different, and we have the symbol that's proprietary to us. So what you want to do is highlight that symbol. You can copy it, and then as soon as you paste it, your symbol property manager is going to pop up. Once that manager pops up, it's going to allow you to start populating your changes, change the symbol name, description, as well as add a manufacturer to that as well. Okay. Does anyone have any questions with any of the information we went over along the way? You can attach any of your questions in with the chat. If not, then feel free to give me a call when we're on technical support, and then we can go through some of your projects and I can answer some of those questions. All right. Now let's go over some of the snapshots in the snapshot manager. Even though the snapshot and snapshot manager sounds like it's just a screen snippet, but it's not a screenshot or anything like that. What a snapshot does is it's going to take a copy version of that project at that exact moment, and it's going to make a copy of it, and then you could store it in your snapshot manager. Okay, so if you want to go back and make any changes. So if you just worked on a project, you need to go back and make a change, and that change is going to overwrite everything that you did for the last 2 weeks. You can create different revisions in your snapshot manager. Okay, so this is one way in electrical to manage some of your previous revisions. The other way we won't go into today is incorporating PDM, and that's another way how we can do that. That's a whole nother topic and time. You can give me a call if you have any questions on that. But our snapshot manager tool, it's located in our process tab. So we have our take snapshots on the left. That's the first step. So we want to take a snapshot. There's nothing you need to highlight, nothing you need to select. SOLIDWORKS Electrical is already automatically going to know that that's the current project that you have open. You just have to have a project open. That is your only requirements. Once you do that, your snapshot manager is going to pull up, and it's going to allow you to change your name and change any of the metadata that's associated with that particular project. Once that's all finished, you're going to get a successful confirmation that that snapshot has been created. And then in order to find those snapshots, you want to go over to your snapshot manager, and then you'll be able to see where those particular snapshots you just created are located at. All right, as you see on the far right side. And that's the snapshot manager. Okay. Now we're to the section for your manufactured parts. With your manufactured parts, this is another very, very helpful tool, something that everyone is going to be using all the time. Now with your manufactured parts, this is going to be the information that is going to be attached to your symbols. All right, so we have symbols that we're dropping into our electrical schematics or line diagrams or mixed schemes. Once we drop those symbols in, those symbols are just going to be created as just symbols. They're going to be pictorial images. All right. There's not going to be any data that's associated with that unless you previously have gone through and already saved that to your library. But this would be the circumstance if we're just starting out a brand new project, just with working with electrical schematics. So with our manufactured parts, we have a library that's associated with our library tab. But then we also have an online content that is provided to us online from SOLIDWORKS. That online content is all supplied from the manufacturers themselves. They're all responsible for their own data that they put up, so everything is up to date and accurate. So if there's a particular manufacturer that you're looking for, you can go ahead and look for those online, and they keep updating it because their parts are always changing, but there's roughly over 1 million parts online. This is much different than the 3D Content Central with electrical 3D. This is all for just SOLIDWORKS 2D electrical. All right, so your manufactured parts, that's going to be housed as the properties that are attached to your symbol. It's going to be the metadata. It's going to be the description of your particular part. So if you drop a motor symbol in, it's just going to show as a motor symbol or a line diagram. in order for you to carry over that right information and to populate all the information that you want to see into your BOM in your reports, you want to attach a manufacturer part to that. That manufacturer part is going to be connected to your SQL database, and that's going to be pulling over all of the information from your projects and all of your sheets. So once you go into your manufacturer parts, after you inserted a symbol, you can click on the correct manufacturer that you want to look for, bring that information in and attach it to your symbol, and that's going to bring over all your circuit information and all your terminals. And that could be down to symbols, it could be wires, even cables, or even PLCs. Okay, and with some of this manufacturer online content, there's going to be packages instead of just individual components. Because as you know, each manufacturer makes many electrical components. So the packages that you look for, once you get to the online content, you want to either put your part number in or the description in, and you can go ahead and do the search that way. Whatever pops up first is most likely going to be closest to your manufacturer part, and then you can extract that, unarchive that package, and it's going to have some other electrical data associated with that as well. Okay, so just from the standard part of the installation for SOLIDWORKS, you're created just with a silver account for the online content portal. If you ever want to be upgraded to a gold membership, all you have to do is contact your VAR, which will be Design Point, and just say, hey, Breland, I want to, make sure I have a gold membership subscription. And what that's going to do is going to give you access to a few more library items in with your manufacturer. Okay. Once that's all finished, and you'll create an account online just by a user and the password. Once that's all finished, then you'll have access to all this online content. Okay. Once you have all this online content, then now you can grab all that information that you just found, or you can use some other imported information as well from maybe a previous document. So if you have any kind of documents that are associated with that are in a Excel format, you can import that information and use that as manufacturer part information as well. So you can create your own custom manufactured parts, whatever you would need for that. Okay, so what we show on our screen here is we have our library tab at the top. With our library tab, this is where you could find all of your managers associated with electrical. And right there in the middle, you have your manufactured part. Once that menu is open, if you look over 3/4 of the way to the right-hand side, you have your online content portal. This is what's going to bring you to your welcome menu. You just sign in, and then you have access to all of those symbols. Okay. Once you have all those symbols, all you're going to do is just unarchive that and just bring all of that information in, and that's going to be locked in. It's going to be downloaded to your electrical schematics. And now you can go through and search through your filters for whatever particular components you may be looking for, and then attach that to your symbol. All right. And that brings us to importing and exporting electrical data. This is also another very, very helpful tool. In fact, SOLIDWORKS provides their own tab just for import and export. So there's many different things that we could do along the way. Let's say that your electrical project is in the 2D phase, and you just finished all of your electrical design, and now you want to go over to your 3D now and do maybe some routing. Once you finish that 3D routing, or even flattening a cable in 3D, you could take that information, even your bill of material as well, from your 3D flatten layout or from your route. And then you can export that, and then you can import that back into 2D. So your final outcome, you can have a full project book that can house maybe schematics and line diagrams, as well as your 3D title blocks as well, which will show your 3D routing. And it's going to add to those drawing sheets. Okay, so that's some importing. And you can also export some of these files here to DWGs if you're going to use this in another program. One of the big things that's very, very popular with our customers is, let's say they're switching over from maybe another program and they like electrical schematics so much that they want to start bringing in some of their old components. If you bring in some of your older components, you can import those if you have those in a DWG format. So you can take either AutoCAD or DXF or DWG's formats, import those in electrical schematics and reuse that information so you're not redrawing something that you previously drew before. All you would need to do to turn into a smart electrical component is import it, delete what you don't want, and save that symbol to a particular name and to a particular location. And then you would attach your attributes to that. And then that's how you would start processing in more and more of your libraries and start populating your own custom library. All right. We also have the option to publish some of these drawings to ebooks. We can export some of these even to DWGs as well as import them. And we can also export our DWGs to PDFs as well. And then we can import and export some of our, let's say, for example, our bill of material. If we had to pass this off to another department that was in purchasing or import a bill of materials from purchasing, and you know these are the particular components that you want, you can do it that way and import all of your information from Excel, and then that way you'll have a list of all the symbols you need to start. You could search for your manufactured parts and start populating your library before you even draw anything, and it's a really quick and easy way to go ahead and start your projects. You could even drop your symbols on a particular page and then start drawing your schematics from there once you know the components that you want, and that will be utilized from the import-export menu. Okay, what I'm showing here is importing data. This was an Excel spreadsheet that I used. So with the Excel spreadsheet, I already had information that I put in on the Excel document. For example, the component, maybe description, and the manufacturer information. And we could populate all that information in. You may be asking yourself, what does that mean for me? But that's a way that you could start populating your own custom manufactured parts. If you wanted to show just a certain amount of information on your symbols, you can start creating that manufactured part. Or if you want to start populating, maybe your company has an ERP system. That's another way that we can go over later if you need help with that as well. And you could also associate that as well. So with our screenshots that we're showing here, once you go through these individual prompts for importing data, you're going to select your particular data source, and that's going to be whatever file type that you're bringing in. It's going to have to be either an XLSX format or an XLL format. Once you bring that in, then the import menu is going to run you through the next steps that you have to provide, and it's going to allow you to associate your different column names and references to your data that you want to show. Once this is all finished, it's going to spit out your data, and it's going to give you a confirmation of that once you're all finished. Once that data is all imported, depending on what kind of information that is, it's going to be, let's say if it was manufactured part information, it's going to be located in your library tab underneath your manufactured part information. Okay, so that's the way how you can bring in or export out some of your electrical information. All right. So these are just some of the tools that Electrical Schematics has. It's a very powerful tool. It allows you to reuse a lot of your data over and over again. It allows you to not only just reuse your data, but it allows you to reuse your data in a smart way and allow you to maintain all of your circuit designations from a previous job or from a previous circuit and bring that information over to your new project book. Okay. You can populate your libraries very easily, very quickly. So once you get up to speed and you get all the information that you would like, everything is going to be drag and drop. at that point, and then you can reuse a lot of your information over and over with macros or project macros. Okay. You can also maintain and manage a lot of your snapshots that we went over. So you make sure that you don't reuse any of your data, because the whole goal here is to make sure that you're fast and efficient, and allows you to spend most of your time planning out the project and not sitting there creating your project. All right. So your end result's much better. All right. And then also with your symbols, you can create those on the fly. You can create this beforehand. It's however the user would provide. What I'm trying to show you is there's just a lot of customization with electrical schematics that allows a user to really manage their project as much as they want to, and whatever the particular workflow that they would like. Does anyone have any questions at this time? No? Okay. If anyone does have any questions, feel free just to reach out and give us a call here at Technical Support, and I'll be happy to run over any of those questions or over your project with you. Other than that, that's it for my presentation today. Just want to thank you everyone for joining, and please give us a call if you have any questions. Thank you.